I competed in the 2026 North American International Championships. This video will be a log of my games and my experience. For this part of the video, I wanted to try out something different. You see, it's the week of NAIC, and on Tuesday, I wanted to talk about my mentality going into the event, my deck choice, recent regionals, and tech cards. From the beginning, I thought I would play something called Hopsbox. This would be a way that I would attack with Brave Slash using Zacian, and I'd have other tech attackers like Trevenant, Clefairy, and even the Silly Cobra to hit for fighting weakness. After a while, I didn't like this deck, so I abandoned it. From that point, I was a bit lost on what to play for NEIC. I decided that my number one choice would be a grass deck. Now, these included 3 decks: Venusaur, Hydrapple, or Beedrill. Venusaur had that ability to tank hits, hit hard with Mega Meganium, and I would even put an Arboliva there for early pressure. Hydrapple could just hit hard with a big attacker, and I put an Arboliva in there. Beedrill could also do the same thing, but they're all slightly different because Hydrapple needs energy to attack. For big numbers, Venusaur is basically just a tank deck, and Beedrill is Beedrill. It can run to Dunsparce as its draw engine. Next, I thought maybe I would play Slowking. It seemed like a really good deck with cool tech options, but I didn't like the consistency of it, so I abandoned it. I also briefly thought about playing Raging Bolt, Delphox, and even Dragapult. I wanted to see if Dragapult was really good for an actual event since I had never played it to a regional or anything like that before. I eventually decided to play what you see on screen, Rocket Box. I like this because of the attacking power. It also really helped when I saw the Indianapolis and Turin finishes. And that's what our next topic is. In Indianapolis, Alakazam and Crustle made the finals. Alakazam, if you didn't know, is a very, very good matchup for Team Rocket, as we have the Articuno. Now, Karis's list also played an Elgyem, but that Elgyem does not affect us because we are immune to effects of attacks. Now, the only thing concerning me with this matchup is the Dedenne Enhanced Hammer Loop, because they can get rid of all our Team Rocket's energy and make it so we can't attack with Mewtwo. Another thing I'm afraid of is if someone's playing the Twilight Masquerade Alakazam. This Alakazam can deal damage to us. But the main reason you can see is because my game plan for if they do the Dedenne loop is to attack with Team Rocket's Wobbuffet. Team Rocket's Wobbuffet can deal 70 damage with its Headbutt bounce attack and only needs 1 Psychic Energy. I only run 1, and I was even thinking about putting a second one specifically for this Alakazam matchup, but I decided against it since even 1 felt really bad if I wasn't able to attack with Spider. Crustle, I don't believe is that bad of a matchup. We can attack with Spidops and even tank a few hits with our Mewtwo. If they don't get Mist Energy attached, we can fling back 240 damage back at them if they decide to hit into the Mewtwo. Now for Turin, Slowking and Trevenant made it. Now, I doubt anyone is actually going to play Trevenant again because it was a surprise deck and now everyone's ready for it. But for Trevenant, well, they can only deal a max of 220 damage, which our Mewtwo very much tanks. And if they don't have Mist Energy, we can fling that back with Wobbuffet. Also, if you didn't read Hops Trevenant's attack, it does not mean if one of your Hops Pokemon were knocked out. It's specifically by damage. And since Wobbuffet does not deal damage, but damage counters, that means if we take out a Hops Pokemon with Wobbuffet, they do not get that increased damage. Now, for Slowking. Slowking, I believe, is not that great of a matchup. It's not great, because they can always Trifrost your little guys, and of course I'm playing Sneasel and Mimikyu, they can get rid of those guys. They can even get rid of Wobbuffet with Trifrost, and if I don't get my spiders up, they can deal that. Also, something I was not concerned with until I forgot about Chaos Rising is that I thought they were never going to be able to attack Mewtwo, or deal enough damage to take it out in one hit. See, their damage cap used to be 250. Of course, they could be playing Brave Bengal, but I doubt many were. Now, their other option to knock us out would be Annihilape or the Haxorus, but because of Articuno, those don't work. Now, Metagross just deals 300 damage, which makes it that much worse of a matchup. That's my main concern. Now, for matchups, Dragapult. I believe Dragapult, the one I'm playing on screen, is not the worst matchup. And because it's probably going to be maybe 30% of the meta share, or 40 if it goes back to that because it's one of the last events of the season, I think I'll be playing a lot of Dragapult. Now, I will spoil, I do lose this game, but then again, I did get very unlucky with my hand draws, I think, in this game. And I was not able to get Wobbuffet down to heal this Mewtwo, as you can see, the 270 damage on it. But because I also run Lily's Clefairy, I think this is not that bad of a matchup, and something cool I found out about the matchup is since I run Sneasel, if I put 6 damage counters from Phantom Dive onto their Meowth, I can use Sneasel to clean that up later, as it deals 120 damage with 6 damage counters on that Pokemon. The Greninjas I am kind of scared of, to be honest. You see, Greninja, I do not play Shaman. Some people I saw were playing Shaman. I do not agree with that. They can knock out our little guys. Not only that, but Mega Greninja's ability can knock out Mimikyu and the Sneasels. Not the Sneasel, sorry, the Tarantulas. Now, for the Tera Greninja part of the deck, we can always copy that with Mimikyu and knock them out because they're weak to Psychic. Can also attack with Mewtwo and knock them out. Mega Greninja is the scary part. See, I'm not running Zapdos anymore, and even if I was, I would not be running Lightning Energy or Max Belt, meaning I would not be able to knock them out in one hit. Something I need to be careful about is the Wallies, because since I can't knock them out in one hit, I'm going to rely on hitting them for a little bit of damage and then using Sneasel to clean it up later. Next matchup I have here is Hydrapple. Hydrapple is not that great of a matchup since, once again, we cannot kill them in one hit, but it's slightly better because they have to run their Teal Masks, and Mimikyu can deal with those very easily if they have 2 energy attached. 1 Rocket's energy or the 2 energy required will knock them out if they have Meganium in play. If they also have 3 and no Meganium in play, we can try to do an E-Switch play so that we can knock them out. Beedrill. Beedrill is something I was really scared of after testing it for a little bit, because Beedrill has 310 HP, meaning we can't knock them out. They can also easily knock us out and knock out the one prizers before they can do too much. Although, if I do play the one prize race, I think it is possible to win, as I've done before. Now, Bolt. Raging Bolt or Slotbox, since they're very, very similar decks, and I feel like Bolt just became Slotbox. I don't think this is that great of a matchup either. Of course, they're on the Teal Mask Ogerpons, and we can pressure those with Mimikyu. We can also just play the one prize game, but most of our one prizers don't deal enough damage for that. Our main line is probably going to be hitting that Kangaskhan and trying to knock that out, or trying to get Clefairy and Mewtwo down, or just attacking with Clefairy, but that kind of ruins the Ariana play. Now I'm going to be talking about my tech cards. Wobbuffet is a card that I've talked about before right now, but a lot of people aren't playing it. I think Wobbuffet is really good since a lot of the decks cannot take out Mewtwo in one hit reliably. Wobbuffet can really just shift the scales and move those damage counters, taking a knockout and healing the Mewtwo. Healing the Mewtwo being my favorite part of it. Sneasel. So I started out playing Zapdos in my deck. Eventually, I realized it was not holding its weight in any way at all, and I never really used it meaningfully. So I decided to take Chef Husky's advice and put in a Kangaskhan. I'm gonna be honest, Kangaskhan did not work for me. Kangaskhan forced me to play really risky, and that's something that I can't ignore. You see, I used to play Dragapult for a little bit, and when I played Dragapult, I played Rare Candy. I would always go for the Rare Candy play. Even if I only had 2 or 1 in deck, I would always go for it. So when I tried out Dragapult again, when the Dunsparce build came out, and there was no Rare Candies, I played it a lot better. Having those options to be aggressive early hurt my game plan since I played less consistently. So putting in Kangaskhan was not working for me at all. I eventually decided on Sneasel, because Sneasel was a one-prizer, like Zapdos, but it was also able to do a lot of damage and help me in a lot of matchups. Something I realized about Team Rocket is that it doesn't really have much bench pressure, so I can't trap something in the active and keep it there while also progressing the prize trade. That's something that Sneasel does. You might not have seen it here yet, but I do play Force Vitality. This may seem like a really, really strange deck choice or card choice in my deck, but I think it's worth it. Even though, oh, there's the first. I'll be honest, it doesn't really see play that much, but when it does, it works. You see, I was scared of the Starmie matchup. I was scared of the Greninja matchup. I was scared of the Slowking matchup. Force Vitality allows me to evolve into Spidops without needing to set up a Tarantula the turn before, which means it has no potential of being knocked out. That's why I put it in here, and I guess I'll get to you on the tournament report if I ever use it at NAIC. I hope I do. Again, I'm recording this the Tuesday of the week of NAIC. Now, Petrel. I cut Petrel out for the longest time. I was going off of Patrick's mentality. What is it called? Patrick's mentality of the deck. Consistency. I decided that I would cut Petrel since I barely ever felt like I used it. I decided to keep an Archer in my deck just because Hand Disruption felt really powerful and I really need to keep that. So this is when I shifted to the Lilies build. I used to not run Lilies. Also, I did not run Clefairy before, and now I do. So following that, I did cut Petrel for a while, and I had four Lilies and 3 Arianas. I found so many games where I needed to find one card to win. I needed to find Ultra Ball to find Clefairy to win. I had Transceiver in hand, but the only option I had was to draw it. I needed Energy Switch, and so eventually I decided I would put one Petrel back. I only ever played one, but yes, I put a Petrel back. And I replaced the Lilies. So far, I haven't regretted it, so hopefully this goes well. I'll get to you at NAIC, and I'll be preparing for this week. Hopefully, I do well. I forgot to mention it, but my goal for this tournament was to just make day 2. This was the list I was playing to NAIC. When we got to the venue, we checked out some of the Pokopia things where I got a Pikachu hat and a pin for testing out the game. We went to see the merchants, and I thought it was really cool that they used the Gimmighoul. And of course, we had to make a visit to the Pokemon Center and pick up my welcome kit. We then ate dinner where I ate a Magikarp. Sorry, Magikarp. From this point on, the video will be about my tournament using live recordings and afterthoughts by editing me. It's the day of NAIC. We're gonna go get breakfast and then we're heading over to the venue. When we were walking over to the venue, I decided to play a little game that you guys can participate in as well. This game would be called How Many Dragapults Will I Play Against in Day 1? Now, I didn't know it at the time, but we were actually playing 7 rounds on the first day, so my prediction would have been 4 Dragapults. It was 5 if I thought we were playing 8, and 6 if I thought we were playing 9 rounds. What do you guys think? Anyways, it was time to start round 1. Okay, finish round 1, win, loss, win, and we took the set. It was against Dragapult Dusknoir. I won. First time we ever went to time. Clefairy came in clutch. I had early pressure the first game. Second game, I kind of started missing what I needed to get. I missed energy attachment. And, hold on. Third game, I had used Wobbuffet's Headbutt Bounce for a lot of knockouts. Special Red Card and Unfair Stamp kind of hurt. I think I managed my resources well. I had Giovanni in hand for a game on a Dracloak with Spidops. 1-0. This win felt very good because this was the first time at a major event that I was actually starting 1-0 with 1 win. It was also kind of scary because it was my first time ever going to time in a major event. As I mentioned briefly in the game 3, you'll start to notice the weakness of this deck really is disruption. You don't have a lot of onboard draw, so when you get unfair stamped and red carded, you don't really have too much of a way out of it on your board. You just have to hope you drew into a Lilies or an Ariana or whatever you need to win. We're starting off with 1-0. Let's see how we do in round 2. Okay, played second game. Double win against Dragapult Hammers with the Dunsparce. First game, he prized 3 Dreepy. He couldn't really get reestablished. Second game, first game, he had to use Pheasantipity, Cruel Arrow, and he attached a Hero's Cape. So that's how he took most of his prizes, but I still won in the end. Second game, he had Hero's Cape, Dragapult. I was able to boss it up, use Mimikyu, and then finish it off with Erasure Ball, discarding 1. 2-0. First time. It feels crazy. It's crazy. My opponent got so unlucky. He actually prized 3 Dreepy that first game. I noticed because he used Pokepad when he used the Dunsparce, and he didn't have any Dreepies on board, and he found the Dunsparce again. I was like, I think he's actually prized 3 of his Dreepy, because I already knocked out one of his Dreepies. It was crazy. He was also playing the Hammer build, and he literally missed almost every single Hammer except for 1, and I had the Rocket's energy to replenish it, I'm pretty sure. My opponent was so unlucky, but they were a really good sport about it. And using Cruel Arrow, they mentioned they've never done that ever before, and they got down to 2 prizes with that Cruel Arrow, but I was able to knock it out with my Mewtwo. We're 2 out at this point. Let's see how we do in round 3. Yeah. So we finished third round, double win against Dragapult Hammers again. Oh my god. First game, didn't really get to play. He just had a Munkidori in the active. He used Mind Bend, but Articuno blocked Confusion, and I had energy to attack with Mewtwo. Second game got a bit closer, but in the end I was able to pull it off. He unfair stamped me to Ultra Ball Wobbuffet, and I just needed an energy on Mewtwo because I had Clefairy to attack, and I top decked the energy. That's crazy. Oh my god. Update to the Dragapult prediction counter. I've played 3 Dragapults so far, but also we're only playing 7 rounds today, and then we're going to be playing 1 of Phase 1 tomorrow. So that's only 7 rounds today, so my prediction will go down 1, and it's 4 Dragapults. Let's see how that does. I feel like I explained this game pretty well here. The top deck of energy to win, that's basically the whole spirit of the deck. If you get unfair stamped or red carded, you just hope that you draw into what you need to win. It's really cool. Now we're going to round 4. Okay, we finished round 4. I was actually at table 3. Finished round 4. I played against a Dragapult Hammers. I don't think they were playing the Dunsparce, and I lost. Now that's actually 4 Dragapults in a row. I lost because I bricked. Like, I didn't really have Proton. First game I had to attack with Wobbuffet because I had to. Just wasn't great. Second game I won. Had Petrol for Ultra Ball for Clefairy after he unfair stamped or special red carded me. And then last game I bricked, couldn't do anything. I just lost. You remember how my round 2 opponent didn't really hit heads on most of his hammers? I think Karma hit me back because My opponent hit heads on so many hammers, and they were so important that I just couldn't attack when I needed to. The Petrol for Ultra Ball for game was very good. That's why I added Petrol back. First game, I think I started with Mimikyu, and then I had to attach to Wobbuffet and just headbutt bounce, but I couldn't come back from that. Third game, I also just didn't draw anything. So we're 3-1 right now. Let's see what we're going to do into round 5. We just finished round 5, and I won 2-0 against Dragapult Dusknoir Hammers. This is kind of funny because I've only played against Dragapult Hammers and Dragapult Dusknoir, and now I face the merged deck. I think last game he showed me he prized 1 Dreepy, 2 Dracloaks, and 3 Crispin. Couldn't really get going. He gave me an unfair stamp. He was also playing Judge. He did an unfair stamp. I drew Tarantula and Rocket Stadium. And then when he finished, I top decked Lily's Determination, played down the stadium, and then I used Lily's and I got the Clefairy for the win. I chased down the Fez so he couldn't draw. It's crazy. 4-1. I think I explained these games pretty well, and plus, I don't really remember too much right now. But at this record of 4-1, I needed one more win, and I will have done better than I did at my previous 2 regionals that I've gone to, because both my records at the previous regionals was 4-4. And if you have 5 wins, you only need 1 tie to make it to day 2. So I needed one more win in the next 3 games because we were playing 1 round on day 2, and I would probably, hopefully, make day 2 and do better than I did at any of my previous regionals. With that, let's go into round 6. Just finished round 6. I lost twice to Mega Starmie and Dusknoir. It's a pretty bad matchup because I don't run Shaman, and I can't protect the baby Tarantulas. He also had like Enriching Energy as his ace spec, and he had so much early pressure, and I missed like everything. I missed my Rocket's energy, I missed everything. I might have had game the first time, but I think I prized my Sneasel. If I had Sneasel, I think I would have won. I don't think I saw it though. Sad. Something cool, this was the first non-Dragapult I had played against the entire day, which was really great, but it was also kind of annoying because I had been practicing my lines against Dragapult the entire day, and now I had something else to play against. He, not gonna lie, had very slow starts for Starmie. Well, not really. He had Starmie starts, and then he had Dusknoirs that he slowly set up on his bench, and he had 2 Dusknoirs that he straight evolved into using Dusclops, not Rare Candy, and I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't attack the bench. I couldn't do much because I didn't have the energy to attack. I kept whiffing the energies. Now about the possible game I had Rocket's energy and I had an Ultra Ball, but when I looked through my deck, I was trying to find Giovanni to knock out the Starmie on his bench because it had 120 damage on it from a Spidops attack. As you can see, if I used Sneasel, because it was on the bench, I would have knocked it out and I would have taken the game because I think I had like 1 or 2 prizes left, maybe 3. But I completely missed the line because I got too much tunnel vision, but I don't think I even saw the Sneasel in deck, like I said, so it might have been prized. If that was a game situation, that does feel kind of sad though. We are 4-2 at this point, and I need one more win to possibly make it to day 2. If I lose one more game, I am out of day 2 contention. Let's go to round 7. We finish round 7, which is the final round of today, with phase 1 continuing 1 round tomorrow. I played against a Psychic Control box thing. It had Team Rocket's Chingling to discard cards, Zerosix, Accompanying Flute, and Elgium, but he was attacking with Clefairy and Kangaskhan, so I'm kind of confused. But we won twice. I learned quickly that I need to play this single prize game, attack with Spidops, and then finish off with Sneasel. So, as long as my opponent wants to ID tomorrow, we're making day 2. If not, we have to win tomorrow. With that win, I could rest easy on the night, knowing that I had a chance of making day 2 the next day, or phase 2 as they now call it. For the game itself, I was very confused at what was happening, and I quickly realized that it was a control style deck, but he also had Clefairy and Kangaskhan to attack with. And I was kind of confused, but he pulled out the Xerosix Machinations and the Team Rocket's Chingling, and my hand was depleted. Now, I kept the Giovanni, Team Rocket's Stadium, and Ariana in hand, and of course used Team Rocket's Chingling to try to discard a card from my hand, and of course he took the Ariana. It was kind of disappointing, but I still had a round to play tomorrow, so let's get to that. As I sat down, people started talking about IDs, which, if you don't know, mean intentional draw. With this, both opponents at a record of 5-2 would gain an extra match point to make phase 2. As we were setting up, I asked my opponent the question, "Do you want to ID?" He shook his head no. It looks like I was going to have to play it out. He was playing a straight pull, no Dusknoir, no hammers, no tricks to disrupt me other than hand disruption. In theory, this should be the easiest Dragapult matchup, but my luck had other ideas. I whiffed so many energy attachments that I needed. He made a great play to win the game by using Jet Headbutt on a damaged Mewtwo that had no energy on it to lock it in, and had a Munkidori to finish it off the next turn and attack for his last 3 prize cards. I now had a record of 5-3, which was very good for my first internationals, but I am a bit disappointed I couldn't make phase 2. I wanted to enjoy the rest of the event without the stress of having to make this video, so the rest of this video will be my voiceovers about side events and watching finals. For my first side event, I decided to play Alakazam. I brought Alakazam as a fun deck to play in side events, so here I was playing it. Very funny the switch up because Rockets has an easy matchup into Alakazam, and then now I go play Alakazam. I was also playing Legacy Energy in my list, and also something funny is that Rockets has no onboard draw, and I switched to a deck that is only about onboard draw. First game, I was playing against a Zoroark Blaziken deck. I started with the Genesect in the active, and, well, nothing. I had Legacy Energy and Telepathic Energy, but I didn't have anything. I had to pass, and my opponent got a Cruel Arrow off on my Genesect. If I didn't get a basic Pokemon here, I would just lose. I draw my top deck, and it was Dawn. I Dawn for an Abra, I get my Telepathic Energy to get some more Pokemon in play, and eventually I brought it really close, but I ran out of energy. They used Xerosix at a time, and I discarded the wrong cards, and I did not have the energy, so I ended up losing that first game. The second game, I played against Beedrill. They had a very slow start, and so did I. They had to attack with Fan Rotom, and I had to use Elgyem to move energies, try to get the energy control, and that's how I decided I was going to try to win. I won that one because he had a very slow start. Then I played against a Mega Starmie, Mega Frostlass deck, and I didn't have anything, and he essentially donked me. We played a couple more games, I got donked again, and then eventually had a strong start to be able to win. For my next side event, I was playing Team Rocket Box, and I played against a Dragapult Greninja. He couldn't get too much set up, and when he got the Greninja set up, I was able to knock him out for knockout. Second game I played against, I think, a Dragapult Hammers. They got a lot of hammers, but I was able to win in the end. And then I played against Dragapult Blaziken. His consistency with Blaziken was just too great, and I kind of didn't draw too much that I needed, so I lost that game. Then I played in a Pokemon TCG Standard tournament. This was more like a scheduled tournament rather than a 4-pod. I first played against a Dragapult. I believe he couldn't get too much set up before I could use my early pressure against him, and I could have my Mimikyu against him. Then the second game, I played against a Honchkrow. He whiffed Proton. He whiffed essentially everything, and usually I have the advantage in that case because Spidops just has way too much consistency versus their supporter needs. Then I play against Slowking, my most feared worst matchup. He used Trifrost, and I couldn't get too much set up, so He just took the game very easily. I also signed up for a 9 a.m. TCG Standard tournament on Sunday. My first round, I played against on Archaladon or Arcaladon, whatever you want to call it. They're playing the Cinderace, and I couldn't do too much. And they had Hero's Cape, so I just really could not knock them out. They had too much pressure before I could get started. Yeah, I kind of bricked. I couldn't get too much going. Then, second game, I played against a Zoroark. I played the one prize trade, and with my Spidops, they couldn't really keep up. So I won that game. Then I played against a Mega Lucario. I thought they were playing Max Belt, but they turned out to be playing Unfair Stamp, which I think I immediately drew out of. And something funny is that I was able to use Headbutt Bounce for game. Headbutt Bounce on Wobbuffet, because Wobbuffet is a Psychic type, which means that their Makuhitas are weak to it. So the 70 damage that it does is actually 140, and that was the last prize I needed for a game, and I used a Giovanni. With all these prize tickets, I had to go visit the prize wall and get myself some rewards. I decided to get a Fuecoco hat, which apparently is exclusive to these international championships. Some Fuecoco stickers, some Snorlax stickers, some Tandemaus and Maushold stickers, some packs, a Froakie plushie, and a Rowlet plushie. Now, this Rowlet plushie is called a Katari plushie. Apparently, Katari means extremely exhausted in Japanese, and apparently on the resale market, these things go for $100, which is like crazy. I have named my Rowlet Pancake. But then we went to go watch finals, where we saw James Kowalski be crowned the champion. James Kowalski, of course, using Cruel Arrow. And Cruel Arrow over and over again to target those Dreepies, and Nettie got a bit unlucky with these double Dreepy prizes. But regardless, this was a great first international championship. I guess the lesson of this video is that sometimes things we view as bad can lead to something good. If I had made Base 2, I might not have had enough time to get enough tickets and get everything I wanted from the prize wall. Thanks for watching, and I hope I'll have a better uploading schedule this summer.